So thank you so much for coming to this show. On behalf of myself and our actors and the Amherst College Green Room, I want to thank everyone who's been involved in this production. So the whole Amherst College Green Room and Caroline Seitz, Emma Ratshin, Chloe Wogomuth, the AAS, Amherst College in general, and yeah, thank you so much for coming, you guys. We're really excited for you to see this production. And please enjoy the show.
One day, I was lying in bed with a backache, and I started thinking about a dress I used to wear. I drew a picture of it. Then I thought of another one. I decided to draw the dresses to hold on to them, and when I finished, I thought, these dresses tell a story. My brownie uniform. My mother was our brownie leader at Hunter College Elementary School on 69th Street between Lexington and Park. Even though she was our brownie leader, she never got a brownie leader's uniform. It was too expensive. A handmade brown dress coat with matching leggings and galoshes.
Gingy, put on your leggings.
I hated putting on my leggings, which were held up by suspenders, and I always had a tantrum. I won't.
You have to put on your leggings if you're going to play in the snow.
No, I don't.
If you don't, you know what will happen? You'll get polio.
You can't imagine how many ways there were to get polio. You could get it from swimming pools and drinking water and, most terrifying of all, from swallowing a fly. Note the brightly colored mittens. My mother was always knitting mittens for my sister and me. We lived at 333 East 66th Street, between 1st and 2nd Avenue, in a first-floor railroad flat that faced the front. My mother made this forest green wool jersey dress embroidered with red cherries for my sister. My sister's name was Blossom, but everyone called her Tootsie. Everybody called me Gingy because I was born with ginger-colored hair. My mother was a large, handsome woman who didn't wear fancy clothes, maybe because we couldn't afford them. Once, my grandmother surprised her with a silver fox stole for her birthday, or Mother's Day, I can't remember which. My mother tried it on, but she never wore it after that day. She usually wore a dark print dress and brown shoes with a buckle. She wore glasses, but whenever I draw her picture, I always forget to draw the glasses. Her face had the most beautiful shape. My mother made this black taffeta outfit too. She made almost all of my sisters and my clothes. I wore this dress to dancing school at Ballet Arts in the Carnegie Hall building on 57th Street. I liked it very much, but what I really wanted was a store-bought outfit. Sometimes I would take the crosstown bus to Ballet Arts by myself. My mother would walk me to the bus.
Gingy, what is that smell?
What smell?
You know perfectly well what smell.
It was perfume. It was taboo. I smelled like...
You smell like a bordello. You are too young to wear perfume.
Tootsie wears perfume.
Tootsie is 17. You are only 12 years old. You're still a baby.
I am not a baby.
And you smell so sweet without it. When you were a little girl, I used to just bury my head in your neck and inhale.
She used to just bury her head in my neck and inhale. The spring after my mother died, my father took me to B. Altman's department store on 5th Avenue to buy a dress for my 13th birthday. We were both so sad. But when we got to the teen department, my father said, "This is my daughter, Gingy. She needs something to wear for her 13th birthday, and we need help." Everyone rushed to help us because he was so handsome. He was 6 feet tall. I picked 2 navy blue dresses, and I couldn't decide between them. I was in agony, so he said, "You don't have to decide, because you know what? I'm buying them both." He made them gift wrap them. This was a long time ago, when you didn't have to pay extra to have things gift wrapped. Each dress was very expensive, about $44. I wore the one on the left to my 13th birthday party. One day, my grandmother came and got my sister and me. She decided we were going to live with her, and Grandpa, and my Aunt Babby. I never saw my father again.
My mother.
My mother.
When I was 13,
When I was 13,
my mother went to Montreal,
New York City,
and she
and she
brought
brought me back.
not a twin set of adorable cashmere sweaters,
Not a CPO, which was a jacket that looked like a shirt made out of black wool, and I wanted one so badly.
not a pair of capizios,
Or bell-bottom jeans, which had just come in, and everyone had them but me. But instead,
a pair of socks,
an outfit.
the loudest, ugliest long socks.
No one was wearing outfits.
They were striped.
My whole class at Scarsdale High School was dressing like hippies, and she gave me an outfit for my birthday.
The socks were meant to be worn
Mid-thigh.
mid-thigh, she said. And they were French,
They're from Paris.
cigarette-smoking, finger-thin Frenchies wore them.
They're très chic.
And I was not thin. Did I mention that? And they were striped.
Everyone is wearing them.
They are?
Brown plaid wool pants, an ivory silk blouse with a bow tie, and a crocheted vest just to pull it all together. I went ballistic. What is this? I can't believe you bought me this. I hate this.
What's wrong with it?
Everything. What have I ever done to make you think I would ever even put this outfit on? It looks like something you would wear.
I only wish I could wear something like that. It's a beautiful.
Outfit, like anyone wears outfits.
At least try it on. Oh, you look adorable.
I do not. I'm taking it back.
You can't take it back.
Why not? Because it was on sale? You bought me a birthday present that was on sale? What if I didn't like it? Which I don't.
You are an ungrateful girl. You are a horrible, ungrateful girl. You don't appreciate anything.
My life is over just from wearing it in the house.
Fine.
Fine.
I'll never buy you anything again.
Good. I don't care. The next year on my birthday, she gave me a paperback copy of Between Parent and Child and a frozen Sara Lee banana cake because I didn't appreciate anything anyway. My mother.
You look adorable.
Do I?
The French have the best sense of style.
So, the next day, I put on my new socks and got on my bike to go to school. And I felt very daring and très chic for a quarter of a mile until I passed Michael Sherman, the boy I'd been in love with for 2 years. And the second I saw him and he started laughing, I knew it was all wrong. Mom had completely deceived me. She never had a clue about style. So, of course, big laughs behind my back all day long. Even one of my teachers said something. It was bad. And the worst thing was, when I told my mom, when I sobbed about how humiliated I was, she thought it was funny.
Oh, honey, if you wear them again tomorrow, everyone will think it's the new trend. That's how trends start, you know?
My mother.
What my mother said.
Don't wear stripes and prints together.
Loafers ruin your feet.
Stop tugging at your crotch, Samantha.
If you wear a girdle, you will destroy your stomach muscles.
Always wear clean underpants in case you die in a car accident.
You never wear that dress. Do you know how much I paid for it?
Never buy a red coat.
I saw your friend Stephanie at the mall. Is she wearing the blouse I bought you?
Go right back upstairs and take that off.
Nice Jewish girls do not get their ears pierced.
You'd be so pretty if you
Lost weight.
Gained weight.
Didn't make faces.
Fixed your nose.
Cut your hair.
combed your hair.
Washed your hair.
Kept your hair out of your eyes.
Stood up straight.
Ate fruit.
Put on a little lipstick.
Took off all that makeup.
Oh, honey, you look so beautiful.
Just looking at you, I'm going to cry.
My little baby is all grown up.
You're so pretty.
Do you know how pretty you are?
You're pretty enough for all normal purposes.
Is that what you're wearing?
Are you wearing that deliberately to annoy me?
Never wear white before Memorial Day.
Never wear white after Labor Day.
Never wear white.
You're much too young to wear black.
Never wear black pants with a white shirt, or you'll look like the caterer's help.
Never wear velvet before Rosh Hashanah.
What did you do to your hair?
Is that a tattoo?
If you wear that, you're going to be sent home for breaking the dress code.
Take that off. You look like a slut.
You look like a prostitute.
You look like a gypsy.
You look like a bag lady.
You look like a waitress in a Hungarian restaurant.
I don't understand. You could look so good if you just tried.
I don't know why I buy you things.
A tiara? You want a tiara? Where are you planning to wear a tiara?
Your bra strap is showing. What do you mean it's supposed to show? The bathrobe.
The truth is, I have no fashion sense. Never did. For many years, I blamed this on my mom's death. Then again, I blame pretty much everything on that. My weight, my addiction to television, my inability to spell. In my fantasy world, had my mother lived, I would be extremely well-dressed. I would know what went with what, and everything I tried on would fit. Mom and I would shop together at the places that moms and daughters go, a department store, an outlet mall, the flea market. I would wear a lot of tasteful makeup too. We would lunch someplace while shopping. It would be at a cafe where we would have salad and like it. We'd laugh about how great our lives turned out and make plans for all the things we were still going to do. But that's all a dream, because my mother did not live. She died when she was 39 years old. The fact is that no item of clothing has ever moved me in any way, except one. After my mom died, my dad took his 5 motherless children to Belfast, Northern Ireland. I guess he thought we could best recover from the trauma of her death by living in a war zone. The IRA was nowhere near as scary as what had just happened to our lives. When we returned, we found her side of the closet empty. All her clothes were gone. A few years later, my dad got remarried to a lovely woman. She was a school teacher named Mary May. After the wedding, she moved in. That first morning, she was there. I was eating breakfast with a few of my siblings when my new stepmom walked down the stairs and into the kitchen. She was wearing a long burgundy velour 3/4 sleeve zip bathrobe with a thick vertical white stripe down the center surrounding the zipper. No one said a word. We all looked at each other and then back at Mary as she happily made her way to the stove to put on the kettle. My mother had had the same exact bathrobe in blue, electric blue. What are the chances of that, really? The unspoken rule in my house was that my mom's name was never mentioned after her death. But that morning, I knew that rule was about to be broken. My siblings left the kitchen, and I was alone with Mary. "Mary," I said, "my mom had that same bathrobe in blue." "Oh," she said. And that robe disappeared. Gone. Sent away to the same place my mother's clothes went, I assume. To this day, that bathrobe is the only piece of clothing I can actually see in my mind. I have no visuals of prom dresses or favorite sweater or shoes I couldn't live without. Clothes are just something I use for cover, leaving room for one electric blue memory.
Holly's story.
If I could draw, I would draw the dress my mother gave me when I was 5 years old. It was my favorite dress ever. It had long sleeves, and it was charcoal gray wool with a big lace pilgrim collar and a black satin bow in the center and lace cuffs. A few months after my mother gave it to me, my father, who was a doctor, sent my mother away to a mental hospital, moved his nurse into our house, divorced my mother, and married the nurse. We had a cleaning lady who came in once a week who had a daughter a little younger than me, and my stepmother used to give her my hand-me-downs. One day, I couldn't find my beautiful dress. I asked my stepmother if she'd seen it. "It will turn up," she said. A week later, I went to school, and during recess, I found my dress on the cleaning lady's daughter. I could not believe it. I ran after her and grabbed her by the collar, screaming, "That's my dress, my dress, my dress," again and again, until the recess monitor pulled us apart. The little girl stood there, shaking and crying, and I stood there, shaking and crying, holding my satin bow in my fist. I wasn't punished, because the school understood. But I remember wishing that they had punished me, shaming me, and my stepmother too.
We lived with my grandparents in a brownstone building at 743 Madison Avenue between 65th and 66th Streets. They owned the stationery store on the street level. It was called Harry Goldberg's. We lived above the store. My grandmother had very beautiful, long, silver gray hair that she twisted up on top of her head into a bun. She believed in two cures: hot tea for anything wrong inside the body, and Vaseline for anything wrong outside the body. Here's what she always said: "It's as easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor man." Which isn't true. Why do people say that? It's not true. My Aunt Babby had enormous breasts. Once I saw her naked and it scared me to death. My best friend Dora. She had a beauty mark at the end of her eyebrow. Dora lived at 22 East 65th Street, right across the street from me. And we used to lean out of our windows and shout down things at men who were walking past, like, "Hey, mister, you're going bald." We thought we were hilarious. Dora's mother was a dress designer for rich ladies. Whenever Dora went someplace special, her mother would say, "Take Gingy along." She lent me this peach satin strapless gown when Dora and I went to the Choate School for Boys in Connecticut for the weekend. The preppy girls gave us mean looks and called us whores, probably because we spent the entire weekend necking with our dates. This is the coral wool jersey dress I bought for a date with Walter Fenton. I was madly in love with Walter Fenton. Every time we'd go out, Walter begged me to go all the way. Finally, at a fraternity party at Dartmouth Winter Carnival, he told me he couldn't see me anymore because necking was just too painful. He went off to have a beer and left me sitting on the floor. After a long time, he came back and said he was going to drive me back to the place where I was supposed to sleep. But I said I didn't want to. I wanted to spend the night with him. "Are you sure?" he said. "I'm sure," I said. So we did it. That's That's when I found out that in sex, once you do something, you have to keep doing it. At the end of my freshman year, I thought I was pregnant. I had no idea what to do. So I went to my sociology professor at Simmons College for advice. He had taught a class in marriage and the family, and I thought he could help me. It turned out I wasn't pregnant. But by then, Walter had vanished.
The bra.
That is such a painful subject.
My first bra.
I can't even talk about my first bra.
May Company.
Macy's.
Nordstrom's.
Bloomingdale is at a bra sale and I was almost trampled to death.
My father took me. I still can't talk about it.
Bras, breasts, the whole works. This is a very painful subject.
I was always trying on bras.
My aunt had this really big one, and I used to wear it on my head.
My first bra was like 2 triangles. I got it at Jordan Marsh. It was awful because there was some really cute guy there shopping with his girlfriend. And my mom kept saying, "Julia, why are you in that section? The training bras are over here."
My mother said, "If you don't wear a bra, you will get pendulum breasts."
It was a 28 double A bra. Tiny, but not tiny enough. I put it on and there were like empty little puffs on my chest. The saleswoman said, "Lean over." So I leaned over, hoping that breasts would magically tumble out of my body and into the bra. But they didn't.
I bought a blow-up bra. It had plastic balloon inserts and came with a plastic straw that you inserted into the balloons and blew up to the size you wanted. One day, I was talking to this guy I had a crush on, and one side collapsed right before his eyes.
It was something about your dad.
You couldn't run around the house naked anymore.
You couldn't sit on your daddy's lap.
The breasts, the bra, the divide.
My mom's friend worked at Bloomingdale's when I was in college and recommended the Minimizer. It's a spandex bra that flattens your boobs about a cup size. I was totally excited about it because I was so self-conscious about my breasts. The bra flattened me, but kind of gave me a monoboob look. I wore it to the veterinary hospital where I was working as a technician. There was this crazy Indian substitute vet there. He said, "Please don't take this personally. This is only for your own good, but I have to say there is something wrong with your boob." I said, "I don't know you, and I don't appreciate your comments about my boobs. They are none of your business." First time I ever stood up for my boobs.
Someone gave me a cashmere halter top that needs a bra to make it work. So I go to the town shop on Broadway and tell the saleswoman, Marveline, my size. She immediately tells me I'm wrong. All you girls think you should be going up in inches, but you should be going up a cup. I am deposited in something that perhaps is a dressing room, but looks like a utility closet with a mirror and a case of paper towels. I'm strapped into my strapless when the curtain is parted like the Red Sea and my linebacker saleswoman commands me to bend over. She then grabs me and my bra and hoists us up until I can feel the blood changing direction in my body. She reaches in, cups my breasts with her hands, and shifts them. Then she invites all the other saleswomen in to look at me. Everyone cheers. I look in the mirror. I realize that I am a new woman, and it took Marveline feeling me up in a utility closet to get me this way.
The prom dress.
My junior prom dress was powder blue and white. It was ribbed with tiny ribs and a white waistband and a white band around the bottom, kind of like Cinderella, with a big powder blue bow. The problem was my date. He rang the bell, and I opened the door, and there he was. in a powder blue tuxedo with a white frilly shirt and a powder blue bow tie. We matched. It was totally mortifying. I didn't really like him, but I was sort of the last to be asked to the prom. Not the very last, but one of the last, so I didn't really have a choice in the date or in what he wore. And I had a really horrible time at the prom, and afterwards we went into a field and tipped cows. My senior prom was completely different. My prom dress was black and short. It was in that sort of Madonna 1980s style, her Like a Virgin phase. Tight on top, and then it went out in a black net poof and black lace gloves. My date was also short, but dark and handsome. And we ended up drinking champagne and making out in his car, and it was great. But here's the thing. I have never really known for sure which of these two people I am. The girl who almost doesn't get asked to the prom at all, or the girl who gets to go with a really cute guy. Every time I thought I knew which one I was, I turned out to be the other. Which is one reason why I think I got married. To, end the confusion. Madonna!
The American woman under the age of 30 who says she's never dressed as Madonna is either lying or Amish.
Madonna represents sexual freedom.
Third wave feminism.
Individuality.
Fabulous fashion.
Last year, for Halloween, we all dressed as Madonna from 4 different stages of her career.
I was desperately seeking Susan Madonna. I wore a black t-shirt cut to reveal my stomach, silver necklaces tied in lariats, and a huge black skirt and red Converse sneakers.
I was blonde ambition for Madonna, tight black leotard, fishnet stockings, a headset, and this was really brilliant. 2 paper party hats I painted black to create a big black pointy bra.
I was Express Yourself Madonna. I wore a man's suit, rocked a red lip, and cut slashes in the suit jacket so my bra showed through.
I was Patty Hearst Madonna. I wore that cute little hat Patty wore when she robbed the bank, and a trench coat, and a fake gun strapped across my chest.
Anyway, these costumes and a whole lot of cosmos totally freed us.
I made out with a girl.
Oh my god, I made out with a bunch of gay men.
I practically got into a fist fight with another group of girls dressed as
Madonna!
Whenever Vogue came on, we totally hit the floor.
Vogue. The gang sweater.
I felt so hot in my gang sweater. I was 15, and it was the first thing I'd had tailor-made for me. The only thing ever, now that I think about it. I joined this gang called the Latin Chantels. We were the chicas of the Latin Chancellors, the guys who hung out near the corners of 27th and Normal Streets in Chicago. The sweater was hip-length and bad. Black with royal blue trim around the collar and on the pockets. The best thing about it was the emblem. A big, puffy rendition of some long time ago coat of arms that had been designed by Lemons, the warlord of the Latin Chancellors. The emblem was sewed onto the sweater near your heart. I wore my gang sweater with black stretch pants, the kind with a strap that goes under your feet. I knew I looked cool in that outfit. So cool that the first day I wore it, Lemons asked to walk me home. I could barely breathe. I was in heaven walking through the dark Chicago streets with Lemons at my side. I thrilled when he pulled me into a doorway and began kissing me. When he unbuttoned my sweater, I shuddered. When he put his hand under my blouse, right under the emblem he had designed, I figured it was meant to be. Lemons never spoke to me after that day. He fell madly in love with Irma, the president of the Latin Capris. Their sweaters were black with purple trim. Cool.
Boots.
I got my first pair of boots when I was 14. They were suede, and they were the answer to my need to be identified as a brooding, wounded, but potentially brilliant artistic subspecies of female, with practically no genetic relationship to my miserable, screaming family. My dog Corky got them confused with an entree and ate a hole in them, so I took a bus to Sausalito and got a new pair. They were olive green, leather, and came up above my knees. By the time I got to Berkeley, where I was an art student, I was all boots all the time. Freshman year, I had 2 pairs. One was golden brown, one was deeper brown, and I wore them with really, really short skirts. I thought my boots gave me a kind of mysterious bohemian charisma, tough but tender, rugged but sensuous, poetic but unself-conscious, like Joni Mitchell. It was a really happy time of my life. But then one night when I was sleeping, a guy broke into my apartment and raped me. They never caught him. I have no reason at all to think that he'd ever seen me before that night, but after the rape, when I walked down the streets of Berkeley in my boots and my short skirt, it suddenly seemed like everyone was staring at me. So I gave my short skirts to Goodwill. But not the boots. I love boots.
The dressing room.
What do you think?
Does this go in or out?
What is this length?
The only reason I can't zip this up is I have my period.
Oh my god, I'm up a size.
This will fit if I lose 5 pounds.
This will fit if I lose 10 pounds.
This will fit if I have lipo.
This doesn't fit.
Do you think this can be let out?
This doesn't fit now, but I always lose weight in May.
I don't know who this is cut for.
But I'm a 6. I've always been a 6.
Does this come in an 8?
Does this come in a 12?
Does this come in a 14/16?
Does this make me look pregnant?
I can't decide!
What color is this?
I can't wear gray.
Yellow makes me look sick.
I look so pale in green.
It's so red.
It's so red.
Is this black or navy blue?
I can't buy another black turtleneck sweater.
Can't buy another white t-shirt.
I look like my mother.
What am I supposed to wear with this?
Does this match?
If you're not buying that, could I try it on?
Does this run small?
Is there something wrong with the lighting in here?
Is this mirror like distorted?
It doesn't fit.
I can't wear anything without sleeves.
I can't wear anything low cut.
My arms! What happened to my arms?
My elbows faced forward. I would kill myself.
My butt is falling.
Is my butt falling?
Oh my god, my butt fell.
Does this make me look fat?
Tell me the truth.
I can't decide.
I can't decide.
I can't decide.
I can't decide.
The shirt.
Last summer, I lost my favorite shirt. Or to be more accurate, favorite shirt vanished into thin air. When I got home from being away for the summer and I unpacked my bags, the shirt simply never materialized. I have replayed the sequence of events in my mind several times and have theories about what happened to it. But the fact remains that the shirt just ceased to be. The really sad part was that this came at the end of summer when the shirt gradually revealed itself to be the perfect shirt. It was flattering. I always felt pretty in it. I liked the color and the cut. It went with all my favorite pants. It was casual and dressed down, but not crappy and falling apart. It was comfortable. It was one of those shirts you had to make yourself not wear because it seems every day's outfit will be improved by it. And as silly as it may sound, I'm generally happier when I have clothes like this in my life. When there's something I know I can put on and feel good in. Something to fall back on. When I realized the shirt was gone, I couldn't think of anything else I owned that served remotely the same function. And I felt cheated. Out of something truly rare and precious. I realized I could sound like I'm talking about death or about lost love. And maybe I am. It's probably worth noting that my relationship with my boyfriend was ending at just the same time I lost the shirt. But I could have sworn to you at the time that I was not transferring my feelings about the loss of my boyfriend onto the shirt. I was actually mourning the loss of the shirt itself. The main lesson to be learned from this experience came from the purchase of 8 different shirts, which each had some likeliness to the lost shirt, whether it being color, cut, material, casualness. But none of them, in any way, replaced it. And I eventually had to resolve to be thankful for the time I had with the shirt and move on. At least I know what I'm looking for.
Pink satin princess-style dress I bought in Filene's basement in Boston for my marriage to Harry M. Johnson. I was 20, and Harry was 37. Harry was my sociology professor at Simmons. We were married at his best friend's house in Dobbs Ferry. There was no food, only champagne and wedding cake. My grandmother and Aunt Babby came to the wedding. My grandfather wouldn't come because he thought Harry was too old for me, and besides, he was Catholic. Here are the words my grandmother uttered on this occasion. "You're killing me!" One day, I was coming down the front steps from our apartment, and there was Walter Fenton. He had joined the Navy. He looked handsomer than ever in his uniform. "Gingy," he said, "why did you do it?" He kissed my cheek, and then my hand, and walked away. I would love to be able to tell you that nothing good ever happened to Walter Fenton, that he ended up being a used car salesman. But the truth is, he won a Pulitzer Prize, the prick. Iridescent brocade Chinese-style dinner dress I bought in Cambridge for your New Year's Eve party. Harry convinced me to buy this dress, even though it was expensive. He said it showed off my arms. He thought my arms were pretty. The party was at the home of Harry's friends Penny and Ecky. They were married. I idolized Penny. She carried a diaphragm in her purse, which was very cool, but strange. I wondered about it at the time because isn't the whole point of getting married that you don't have to carry your diaphragm in your purse? Anyway, at midnight, I got very upset because I couldn't find Harry. Then I saw him. He was kissing Penny. "Harry," I said. And you know what he said? Of course, you know what he said. He said, "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. So that was that. I was 21 years old, and I was going to be the youngest divorced person in America, except for Elizabeth Taylor. Lynn's story.
In the beginning, I remember the jewelry more than the clothes. When I met Ray, we were both married. We worked at the same truck dealership. And he used to say that falling in love with me was like lettuce. Because when he was a kid, he had colitis. and for a long time he wasn't allowed to eat any roughage, and he missed it a lot. When he was finally allowed to have it, his mother introduced it slowly, a little bit of lettuce at a time, and he described eating that first plate of lettuce almost like a religious experience, relishing the look, the smell, the sound, and the taste, like he was coming alive. So, the first gift he gave me was a ring he had made that spelled lettuce, Lettuce. Still have it, it's a bit tight. Anyway, before we even slept together, he told me about how he was in trouble, he'd been arrested, he was probably going to jail, and then he told me all over again because he wanted to make sure he hadn't misled me. But all I could think about was how much I wanted to go to bed with him. And I wasn't shocked that he was going to jail, because remember, I'm a Gorman. My family was always doing things. My grandmother and my mother were arrested for making gin in the bathtub. My auntie Bernice, who was a policewoman, was thrown off the Baltimore Police Abortion Squad for arranging abortions. And my cousin Davy faked his own funeral to get out of his car payments. So Ray and I, we fell in love. And he left his wife, and I left my husband. And Ray was sentenced to 7 years. But thank God, at a minimum security prison. I went up to visit him every weekend. Sometimes I wore a special pair of pants I had, loose-fitting brown cotton, and I made a hole in the crotch for easy access by Ray's finger. Obviously, Ray didn't get much from this except the satisfaction of pleasing me, but he always wanted to show me that even in jail, he could take better care of me than someone who was not in jail. And, of course, we wanted to hold on to freedom, put something over on the guards, get away with it. That was the best part, because they were so horrible when they cleared you in. They frisked you. They went through your bag like they controlled you, which they did. Ray got out of prison after 2.5 years, and I picked him up that day wearing a pair of knee-high caramel-colored boots and a raincoat. Ray comes down, and he looks at me, and there was a grin from ear to ear, because he knew I had nothing on underneath, and the guards didn't know. And by the way, we just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. I'm a state senator. Ray is a life coach. He coaches people on their life. If you lived where we live, you'd know us, but you wouldn't know the story.
Sisters.
I always wanted a pair of black cowboy boots. I thought they'd make me sort of rangy and taller, like a girl named Slim that a guy could really go for. So one day, I wandered into Walker's Western Wear and bought a pair of Nakonas. Beautiful stitching on the side, shit-kicker pointy toes, $250. The salesman said they'd be good for my arches. I have terrible arches.
She's obsessed with her arches.
My older sister,
She's always been obsessed with her arches.
my younger sister. A month later, I met a guy I fell in love with, Chase. He owned 6 pairs of black cowboy boots. Not Nakonas, but still really nice Tony Lamas. As fate would have it, he turned out to be the same sexy guy I'd just seen standing against a Doric column at a party at the architecture school.
It was Halloween, don't leave that out.
He had a chainsaw through his torso.
How could she resist him?
She couldn't.
He was a sort of freckly prepster, and since I was freckly too, there we were, meant to be, with our freckles and black boots, skinny, freckly arms all entangled.
She followed him to Seattle.
He invited me.
No,
he did not.
Not.
One of the reasons he wanted to move west was to get away from his incredibly dysfunctional family in Connecticut. Although, if I ever said his family was dysfunctional, he would say, "Hold it right there. My family is not dysfunctional. If you want to talk about dysfunctional families, what about your family?"
What about your sisters?
What about your sisters who hate me?
Which we did.
Because of the way he treated her.
Although she let him, he couldn't have behaved like that if she hadn't let him.
We discussed it for hours.
Behind her back.
What a jerk he was.
Why is she in love with him?
Why?
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 Where was I?
His incredibly dysfunctional family?
Right. So he said,
If you're going to insult my family, I'm out of here.
And she said,
don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. I didn't mean it. I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
He was always threatening to leave.
And every time she said,
don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. I didn't mean it. I love you.
So, guess what? He stayed.
After a while, I began to suspect that he was actually in love with his family and not really with me at all. He'd go home for the holidays without me, bearing gifts I'd helped him shop for. And he'd come back with old Shetland sweaters that reminded him of his childhood. But what I really wanted was for him to come back with the realization that he'd missed me horribly. He couldn't live without me. He wanted to marry me. He loved me. Or, failing any of that, at least that he someday wanted me to meet his fucking parents. Which I finally told him, in those very words.
And he said,
if you're going to insult my family, I'm out of here.
And she said,
fine.
Isn't that amazing?
Fine. Go. Split. Who cares? And take those fucking boots with you.
And he left.
Just like that.
After 7 years and 7 horrible Christmases. At which point, he owned about 12 pairs of Tony Lamas, most of them with holes, and I still had my own well-oiled, well-cared-for pair of Nakonas. He kept the Shetland sweaters in his childhood memories. And I left town, found a good shrink in Los Angeles.
Where we live.
The closet.
I have nothing to wear.
Nothing.
Nothing fits.
Nothing fits me.
Why did I buy this piece of shit?
Where is it?
Why can't I find anything in my closet?
I hate my clothes.
Why do I buy such terrible clothes?
I have to clean out my closet.
I absolutely have to.
I should throw this away. After all, if I haven't worn it in 2 years.
3 years.
5 years.
I can't do it.
My mother gave me this. Who does she think I am?
I can't find my black turtleneck sweater.
Where is it?
I can't find it.
Now I'm sweating.
Why didn't I hang this up? Now I have to iron it.
I have nothing to wear.
Who bought this?
Who did I think I was when I bought this?
I totally forgot I bought this.
Do men ever go through this? Choosing the sweater, unchoosing the sweater, choosing the sweater, unchoosing the sweater.
Of course they don't.
What's wrong with me?
Where is it?
I have nothing to wear.
I have nothing to wear.
I have nothing to wear.
Nothing!
After I got divorced, I moved back to New York and lived with Dora, who was studying to be an actress.
Gingy, you are the second youngest divorced person in the world, and you must act as if you couldn't care less.
I had no idea what Dora meant.
What I mean is, don't marry the first person you go out with just so you can stop being divorced.
Don't be ridiculous. Why would I do that?
Are you listening to me, Gingy?
This is a yellow ochre sack dress Dora lent me when she fixed me up with Al Beckerman.
He's very sweet, but don't marry him. Are you listening to me, Gingy?
Floral print cotton piqué dress I purchased at a very snooty store in New Canaan, Connecticut.
for my marriage to Al Beckerman. My grandmother and Babby came to the wedding, but my grandfather wouldn't come. He was still mad at me for marrying Harry. Al was so sweet. He's very sweet, I said to Dora, and she said,
I know. He's very sweet. But are you sure?
he'll take care of me.
I know, but are you sure?
We both want a big family.
How big, Gingy?
Black and red print taffeta maternity dress. First worn when I was pregnant with Isabel, and then when I was pregnant with Lily, Michael, Joe, Julie, and David. David died when he was 18 months old from a 48-hour intestinal virus. Your son has expired, they said when they called from the hospital. Your son has expired. After David died, everything changed. I ordered this beige wool pantsuit from the Spiegel catalog. It was my first mail order purchase. I thought it would be a good interview outfit because now that the children were all in school, I wanted to go to work. I got a job at an ad agency. One day, I walked into my office and a man was sitting at my desk. He had a glue stick in his hand. He said, "Do you know how to open this fucking thing?" It was as if Cupid had shot an arrow right into my heart. "Fuck," he said, and left. Later that day, I found out his name was Stanley. So there it was. First Walter, then Harry, then Al, then Stanley. I loved this print jersey Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress. It was easy to put on and very comfortable, and if you gained a few pounds, it still fit. I was wearing it the day I told Al I couldn't stay married to him anymore because I'd fallen in love with Stanley. It wasn't really Al's fault. Al was so sweet. Annie's story.
There was, for a brief moment in time, the paper dress, and I had one. I got it at Paraphernalia, which was Betsy Johnson's first store on 67th and Madison. It was a kind of grayish plaid sheath. I wore it to brunch at my cousin Marty's. He was an advertising executive who had just married Steffi, whom he put through medical school, and then she ran off with a doctor. They were very impressed with my dress and how au courant I was. Then I wore it to Paula's sister Janet's and her new husband Earl's, who invited me and Paula to dinner at their newlywed apartment, which contained their newly upholstered dining room chairs. In the middle of dinner, I got my period, suddenly and violently. And when we all stood up, there was a blood stain on the seat of one of the prized new chairs. For history, I should say that the dress was completely intact, just wet. It must have been the predecessor to Bounty paper towels. Anyway, when I stood up, Janet said something like, "What?" And I said something like, "What?" As though nothing had happened at all. I then left the room for the bathroom. God knows what the three of them did, because I never acknowledged to anyone that anything out of the ordinary had happened, although I will remember this on my deathbed.
Fat, thin.
I started getting fat when I was 12.
I was always thin.
By the time I was 15, I was a size 20.
Not just thin, skinny. Which would not have mattered if I had breasts, but I didn't.
If I ate a carrot, I gained 3 pounds.
Mary, is that you in the refrigerator?
It was. My mother kept saying,
You have a very pretty face. You could be attractive if you just lose weight.
my mother was the most competent human being alive, but she gave up on me clothes-wise. She would send me off alone in a taxi to a store called Jane Engel on the southeast corner of 79th and Madison, and they'd bring me clothes and I'd try them on. There was a dressing room with 3 mirrors, and no matter which way I looked, there I was, big as a house. There has never ever been a good time to be fat, but this is a particularly bad time on account of Audrey Hepburn.
My shrink said.
If you ever got happy, you would gain weight.
And she also said,
This is all because of your mother.
my mother? I'm thin because of my mother?
Yes.
Couldn't it be my metabolism?
No.
By the time I married Kenny, I managed to diet down to 152 pounds, which was real thin for me. But Kenny didn't care what I weighed because he was gay, and he would have married me if I had 2 heads.
I have a picture of me and my first husband together on a bench in Washington Square Park. I was wearing my lime green winter coat, so short, with a plaid scarf, and I looked really happy. But I was never happy with David. Whenever I see that picture, I always think how photos lie and how many marriages are just performances.
When I married Kenny, I wore my mother's wedding dress, which fit with some adjustments. She'd bought it at Bergdorf's. It was an absolutely gorgeous dress, ivory satin, plain, with long sleeves with lace insets that came to a point and a great long train. Just as I was getting into the dress before the wedding, the dressmaker pricked her finger on a needle, just like in Sleeping Beauty, and got blood on the dress. My mother said,
I know how to fix that.
and she did. After all, she was the most competent human being alive. She got an ice cube, and out came the bloodstain. I wore the dress at my wedding. My sister wore it at hers. My older daughter wore it at hers, until finally it got down to my younger daughter, Jenny, who said, no way in hell am I getting into that bad luck dress. So we had a wedding dress designed for her by Vera Wang. And Jenny got divorced too. We all got divorced, my whole family. Everyone except my mother, who stayed married to my father for 56 miserable years.
After I was married to David for 3 years, I began to endlessly fantasize about tragically and miraculously losing him. Every time he was 5 minutes late, car accident. Every time he coughed, TB. Every time he went to a party, I hoped that he will go into the kitchen and kiss one of my girlfriends and run off with her. But none of them really liked him.
You are ambivalent.
Ambivalent? I was not remotely ambivalent.
You are ambivalent. You really love him. You are just too neurotic to realize it.
I was neurotic, but not because I didn't love my husband, because I was pretending to love my husband when I didn't. After 6 years, David and I split up, but not before spending an entire week talking nonstop. We even ended up talking naked, which you might imagine meant that we finally spoke the truth. But we did not.
Why were you naked?
Because we just had sex. We were lying there and my husband was telling me he wanted me to stop writing. I had hardly written anything at that point. I'd written one book, The Adventurous Crochet. And I remember while he was talking to me, I recited the beginning of it to myself so I wouldn't hear anything he was saying. There is no wrong way to crochet. There are easier ways and harder ways, but there is no wrong way to crochet. So David and I got divorced, and I left my shrink. I mean, fuck you.
Hey!
When I married Henry, I wore my mother's navy blue suit. I looked like a 110-year-old Italian war widow, but I lived happily ever after.
When I married Jerry, I wore a shocking pink Mexican cotton skirt and a white Mexican blouse, off the shoulder. It wasn't the sort of thing that would look good on a skinny person, but I gained 5 pounds, And we all know what a big deal 5 pounds is.
Shoes.
I look gorgeous in high heels. Everyone looks gorgeous in high heels. But my feet hurt. My little toe was always crushed. I had a bunion. I was in so much pain I couldn't think. I had to choose. Heels or think. I chose think. So I bought some chic flat shoes. I made a lot of mistakes. I bought these turquoise blue Marc Jacobs ballet flats that the salesman talked me into because he said they had toe cleavage. I'd never heard of toe cleavage. Anyway, I realized that chic flat shoes are almost as uncomfortable as heels and don't do that amazing thing for your legs. Fortunately, at just about that time, I met an unbelievably stylish woman who was wearing Birkenstocks. When I was in high school, I was a Doc Martens girl, and Birkenstocks symbolized everything I didn't want to be. They were incredibly uncool, and the girls who wore them had big, dirty toes that stuck out the ends. You absolutely could not be friends with a person who wore Birkenstocks. But this stylish woman wore her Birks with baggy cords and a Comme des Garçons sleeveless shirt. It was a revelation. The next day, I went out and got a pedicure and a pair. Dark brown, standard style. I realized that Birkenstocks were actually the coolest, punkish shoes a girl could wear. They were a statement. Look, these are my feet. We all have them, okay? My husband had a slightly different opinion. He hated my Birkenstocks. He said they made me look like a troll from Middle Earth. And once, when the Yankees were in the playoffs, he made me take them off before coming into the same room as the TV so I wouldn't hex the team. After we split up, you'd think I'd have stuck with my Birkenstocks, but no. I started wearing heels again. Oh, the pain! I can't think, but I look gorgeous. I had to choose, heels or think. I chose heels.
I just want to say,
jumpsuits. Can we for 1 second talk about what a nightmare it is to go to the bathroom in a jumpsuit?
I just want to say that I personally have a rule against sleeveless turtleneck sweaters. I don't understand them. Are you hot or are you cold? Make up your mind.
I just want to say, when you start wearing Eileen Fisher, you might as well say, I give up.
I just want to say, I hate my purse. I absolutely hate it. If you're one of those women who think that there's something great about purses, don't even bother listening, because I have nothing to say to you. This is for women who hate their purses, who are bad at purses, who understand that their purses are reflections of negligent housekeeping, hopeless disorganization, a chronic inability to throw anything away, and an ongoing failure to handle the obligations of a demanding and difficult accessory. The obligation, for example, that it should in some way match what you're wearing. This is for women whose purses are a morass of loose Tic Tacs, Advils, lipsticks without tops, little bits of tobacco, even though there has been no smoking going on for at least 10 years, tampons that have come loose from their wrappings, boarding passes from long forgotten airplane trips, hotel keys from God knows what hotel, leaky ballpoint pens, Kleenexes that either have or have not been used, but there's no way to be sure one way or the other. This is for those of you who understand, in short, that your purse is, in some absolutely horrible way, you. I realized many years ago that I was no good at purses, and for quite a while, I did without one. When I went out at night, I managed with only a lipstick, a $20 bill, and a credit card tucked into my bra. But, unfortunately, there were times when I needed to leave the house with more than just the basics. So, I bought an overcoat with large pockets. This, I realized, turned my coat into a purse, but it was still better than carrying a purse. Anything is better than carrying a purse. Because here's what happens when you buy a purse. You start pledging yourself to neatness. You start small. You start vowing that this time it will be different. You start with a wallet and a few cosmetics. But within seconds, your purse has accumulated the debris of a lifetime. The cosmetics have somehow fallen out of the shiny cosmetic bag. The coins have tumbled from the wallet. The credit cards are somewhere. Where are they? There's a half-drunk bottle of water, along with several snacks you saved from an airplane trip, just in case you ever found yourself starving and unaccountably craving a piece of cheese that tastes like plastic. Perhaps you can fit your sneakers into your purse. Yes, by God, you can! Before you know it, everything you own is in your purse. You could flee the Cossacks with your purse. But when you open it up, you can't find a thing. Your purse is a big, dark hole full of stuff that you spend hours fishing around for. What's the solution? I tried spending quite a lot of money on a purse, the theory being that having an expensive purse would inspire me to become a different person. But that didn't work. I also tried one of those Prada backpack purses, but I stuffed so much into it, I looked like a Sherpa. Then one day, I found myself in Paris with a friend who announced her goal for the week was to buy a vintage Kelly bag. I had never heard of a Kelly bag. My friend looked at me as if I had spent the century asleep in a cave. And she explained, a Kelly bag was an Hermes bag, first made in the 1950s, that Grace Kelly had made famous. Hence the name. It was a classic. My friend had heard that there was a dealer in the flea market who had several for sale. How much is this purse going to cost? I asked. I practically expired when she told me. About $6,000. Well, we went to the flea market, and there was the Kelly bag. I didn't know what to say. It looked like the sort of bag my mother used to carry. It barely held anything at all, and it hung stiffly over my friend's arm. I may not be good at purses, but I know that any purse that hangs over your arm instead of over your shoulder immobilizes half your body, and more important, adds 10 years. Anyway, my friend bought her Kelly bag. It cost only $5,600. The color wasn't exactly what she wanted, but it was in wonderful shape. Of course, it would have to be waterproofed immediately because it would lose half its value if it got caught in the rain. Waterproofed? Caught in the rain? It never crossed my mind to worry about a purse being caught in the rain. Thank God it was time for lunch. We all went to a bistro, and the Kelly bag was placed in the center of the table, where it sat like a small shrine to a shopping victory. And then outside, it began to rain. My friend's eyes began to well with tears. Her lips closed tightly. In fact, to be completely truthful, her lips actually pursed. It was pouring rain, and she hadn't had the Kelly bag waterproofed. She would have to sit there all afternoon and wait for the rain to end, rather than expose the bag to a droplet of moisture. It crossed my mind that she and her Kelly bag might have to sit there forever. She would get old, although her Kelly bag would not. And eventually, she and the bag would, like some modern version of Lot's wife, metamorphose into a monument to what happens to people who care too much about purses. At that point, I gave up. I came back to New York, and I bought myself a purse. Well, it's not a purse exactly, it's a bag. It's definitely the best bag I've ever owned. It's yellow and blue, so it matches nothing at all, and therefore, on a deep level, matches everything. It's made of vinyl and is completely waterproof. It is equally unattractive in all seasons of the year. It costs next to nothing, $26, and I will never have to replace it because it seems to be completely indestructible. What's more, never having been in style, it can never go out of style. It doesn't work for everything, I admit. On rare occasions, I'm forced to use a purse, one that I hate. But mostly, I go everywhere with my blue and yellow vinyl bag. And wherever I go, people say to me, "I love that bag. Where did you get that bag? That is the greatest bag." The MetroCard bag. Buy one.
Brides.
I never thought I would get married.
I'm not somebody who dreamed of my wedding from a young age. I did not have visions. I just wanted a dress I could twirl around in.
But 2 months before my wedding, I saw an ad that said wedding dress sample sale. So, Saturday at 11 a.m., I was standing with 40 other brides-to-be in front of a store called Brides-to-Be. They opened the doors and stampede. Everyone's yelling, "8's over here, 12's over here, Mom, where are you?" And just grabbing purses, swinging, elbows jabbing, and somehow I ended up with 15 other women in a dressing room with no curtain, stuck inside a wedding dress. And when I finally got a look at myself, I thought, who is this person?
I went to all the San Francisco department stores and tried on white bridal dresses with satin tops and big fancy bottoms. It was like going back centuries, and the layers felt fantastic. But I don't look good in white. So no white.
So now I'm thinking pants, wide flowing pants, maybe in silk, although I saw this parachute fabric once that was beautiful.
My mom was totally involved.
My mother and I were barely speaking.
We went to all these boutiques where the people were just fashion freaks. And they were so excited that I was getting married that we got carried away and bought this dress. It was dark green. Right after, we went to see the rabbi to talk about the wedding, and my mother said, "Try it on for Rabbi Mendelssohn." So I went into the ladies' room at the temple and tried it on. I looked into the mirror, which wasn't easy because it was above the sink. I had to jump up and down. And then it hit me. I looked like a pine tree. I took it off and stuffed it back into the bag and realized, this is going to be hard. This is going to be really hard.
I've been dealing with my parents' homophobia since I was a young teenager. I thought that they were going to get there, but when I told them I was getting married, they hit the roof. But my fiance's mother was great. Right after we told her the news, she came right over with an old plastic sandwich bag full of family rings. She said to me, "I want you to pick the ring you want to get married in. Whatever ring you want, I'd like to give it to you." I picked a plain band made of rose gold that was my fiance's grandmother's. It was made in the 1880s. It's really beautiful and magical.
About this time, my mother went to a Buddhist retreat in Napa.
Finally, my friend suggested that we go to a tuxedo store.
She called me up from a dress store in Yountville, and she said, "I have found your dress. I have found it. This is it." I'm kind of laughing at my mother, and my hopes aren't even up. She says, "I'll be back Sunday."
I tried on tuxedo pants, and they were slinky and sort of great.
At 3 o'clock on Sunday, I get a call from my mother. I am 3 hours away.
And a white frilly shirt that fit perfectly.
It's me again. I am 2 hours away.
And then the saleswoman found a vest with a daisy chain pattern.
Set your watch. I'm 5 minutes from the exit.
Well, not daisies, just the chain part. Interlocking circles.
My mom was like bubbling over with excitement, and she took the dress out of the box. It was the most beautiful color, eggplanty maroon.
So, okay, I did not look like a bride, but I looked good.
I tried it on, and it was amazing. My mother literally starts screaming and running around in circles. She's so excited about the dress. She's so excited that she's the one who found it. She's so excited because I look so beautiful. I just felt completely at peace.
A few days later, my fiance's mom came over and we tried on our outfits, and she said we needed to go together. You know, we needed to match better. So she brought these button covers for the buttons on my vest. Eggplanty maroon. I, Lisa, take thee, Amanda, to be my partner for life, to love, honor, be faithful to through good times and bad, as long as we both shall live.
I, Amanda, take thee, Lisa, to be my partner for life, to love, honor, be faithful to, through good times and bad, as long as we both shall live.
My mother kept saying to everyone, "Why'd they have to do this?"
I could hear my mom sniffling right through the ceremony.
She even said it to Amanda's mom.
Why'd they have to do this? And my mom said, to honor their relationship.
Black.
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 When did we start wearing black?
I can't remember.
I love black.
Sometimes I buy something that isn't black and I put it on and I am so sorry.
I'll take 3 in black.
I'll take 5 in black.
Do you have this in black?
Is this black?
Are you sure you don't have this in black?
Could you see if the other store has it in black?
What about the LA store? Do they have it in black?
Why do we only look good in black?
I went to a store the other day and a saleswoman showed me a black sweater. And I said, I can't buy another black sweater.
You bought it, didn't you?
I bought it.
I feel sorry for people who live in places like Phoenix and Dallas because people there wear things that are like pink.
What about all those women senators in their red suits?
And royal blue suits?
Turquoise.
Coral.
Magenta.
What's wrong with them?
Don't they get it?
Can't we just stop pretending that anything is ever going to be the new black?
Black.
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 I'm going to teach you to draw yourself. You start by making 2 rectangles, one on top of the other. There's your dress. Add a collar or buttons or a belt, whatever. Add sleeves. If you can't draw hands, put them behind your back. Make an egg for a head, 2 lines, and you've got a neck like a swan. Can't draw eyes? Close them. Make an L for a nose, a W for a mouth, curly or straight hair. 3 lines make legs, and whatever for shoes. Now, this dress I'm wearing has a jacket and lacy sleeves. And then you want to ink it in. And there you are. I love this dress. It's from Eileen Fisher. So there. It's black, of course. These days I usually wear black. Black is always chic, and they say it makes fashion choices so much easier, but who are we kidding? There are no fashion choices when you get to a certain age. I have to wear long sleeves because my arms have gone to hell. My neck, oh God, my neck. I wind scarves around it, and some days I look like Katharine Hepburn in On Golden Pond. I used to show a little cleavage as a fallback, but now my cleavage looks like a peach pit. Someone told me I can have Botox in my peach pit, but there are so many other parts of me that need Botox that my peach pit will just have to get in line. My waist is a faint, distant memory. If I find myself in a department store, it's like wandering through the desert. I feel like a forgotten woman. Actually, when I was young, there was a chain of stores called the Forgotten Woman. Now I am the Forgotten Woman, and the store isn't even in business anymore. How ironic is that? The clothes I used to be able to wear are in boxes. My granddaughter, Allie, loves them. She's 4 years old, and when she comes over, I polish her fingernails and toenails bright red and let her play in the drawer where I keep all the awful colors of lipstick, rouge, and eyeshadow that aggressive sales ladies talked me into buying. Then Allie tries on my old clothes, high heels, and hats. I watch her face as she looks in the mirror and sees how beautiful she looks. I wonder if she'll remember any of it when she gets older. I wonder if she'll remember me. My grandmother, she'll say. My grandma was named Gingy, and she wore completely shapeless black things. Recently, Allie told me her favorite color is pink. So I thought, maybe I'd try a pink scarf. Geralyn's story.
I'd come to the doctor's from work, so I was wearing a business suit and lipstick. I always wore lipstick, even for my surgery. When my surgery was over, my lipstick was still perfect. The nurses were amazed. What kind of lipstick is this? Deep Scarlet by Aveda, I told them. But anyway, when the doctor first told me the news,
You have advanced stage invasive ductile carcinoma.
I looked over at my brother. He had come with me for emotional support. He was wearing this great pair of faded Levi's and a V-neck sweater. He was only 22. I thought, I can't die. I can't leave my brother. He still needs me. The woman who had breast cancer told me,
Whenever you go to the hospital, look fabulous. They can be mean to you. They can rob you of your identity. Put on an important piece of jewelry and always look your best.
my mother gave me a white waffle cotton robe to wear over my surgical gown. It was short and glamorous, definitely more spa than surgical. On the day that my surgeon came in, earrings. For my mastectomy, I had A- breasts. So as long as I was going to have a reconstruction, I figured go for it. When the plastic surgeon asked what size breasts I wanted, I said Baywatch. And then we got into this negotiation because she said, you're too small to have such big breasts. How about a B? And I said, no, a C. And she said, okay, a B plus. And I said, no, a C. But anyway, the night before my reconstruction, my friend Meredith sent over this beautifully wrapped box, all pretty ribbons and tissue, and I opened it, and there was this white lace bra with underwire. I'd never worn a bra with underwire. Until that moment, I hadn't thought of my breast as anything but a reconstructed mound. And when I was given this bra, I realized it was going to be a breast in a lace demi-cup push-up bra. The next day, in the operating room, the surgeon came in and said, "I'm going to show you what I'm going to do." And she took off my top and started drawing on me with a Sharpie magic marker. She told me where she was going to cut, here and here and here, and it was making me nauseous. Lying on that metal table, the smell of the room, the surgeon drawing on my chest. So I focused on that bra. I just thought about that beautiful white lace bra that was waiting for me when it was over. I didn't want a nipple on my new breast. The nipples they make are nice. They look completely natural. But I thought, if I have a nipple, every time people look at that breast, they're going to see this awful mastectomy scar. Whereas if I have a tattoo instead of a nipple, they'll see the tattoo and laugh. I don't know what people I was referring to exactly, but nevertheless, that was my thinking. So I started phoning these tattoo parlors and telling them what I wanted. And I found this guy who was so excited. His grandmother had had breast cancer, and he said, "I have to do this for you." I wanted my tattoo to be a heart with wings. In Spanish, the word for heart is corazón, and in French, it's coeur. So a heart symbolizes both love and courage. And I wanted wings to represent all the friends who looked after me like angels. After my chemo, these two guys made me a really beautiful wig. I didn't want to wear it. Everyone in the office knew I'd lost my hair. They saw it falling out, so instead I wore baseball caps backwards. I had this black suede one and a brown velour, but my crushed red velvet was my favorite. My Aunt Honey gave it to me. I saved all my hats, and I give them to other women to wear during their chemo. I always ask for them back so I can give them again. I think of them as magic hats, a good luck thing. You know, if you get breast cancer at 27, no one thinks you're going to live. But I did.
After I finished making all these drawings and writing all the bits and pieces that went with them, which took about a year, I made some copies and put them in big red binders and gave them to my children and to my two best friends. I was so happy, you have no idea. It was the story of my life. My mother was in it, and my grandmother, and my Aunt Babby. It was as if they were still alive. They were acknowledged. Because when my sister dies, no one but me will know who they were. I was done. I'd managed to say all the things to my children you don't have time to say. I wanted them to know I wasn't always their mother. I was a girl. I had best friends. We did stupid things together. I rode on a bus once with Dora eating dog biscuits so people would look at us. I wanted them to know. Then someone showed the book to a publisher. I thought, who would buy this? It's too personal. But they published it. And it turned out it was personal to other people too.
It was a green plaid coat, and I caught it on a piece of barbed wire.
Navy blue wool tights that kept falling down and making this web between my legs.
Matching dresses with my sister for Easter Sunday, bright blue dresses with smoking.
A gold lame mini dress I wore when I snuck into a Sting concert.
Blue jeans that me and my best friend embroidered with peace signs.
My first cheerleading outfit that said Cults right across the chest.
Black cigarette pants that I wore one romantic night in Paris.
Cotton candy pink silk shoes with bubblegum pink silk roses on the toes.
My poodle skirt. My poodle skirt.